CBSSports.com. Joining us right now is a former Super Bowl champion, Pro Bowl quarterback, currently an analyst for the NFL and college football on CBS. Steve Beuerlein joining the show. Steve, it's Jay and F.P. How are you today?
Hey, I'm doing great, guys. Thanks for having me.
Man, thank you for joining us. Let's get right into it here locally. We are the home of the San Francisco 49ers. The big talk right now is who's going to lock up that QB2 position between Trey Lance and Sam Darnold. Steve, based upon what you saw this past weekend and, other things you've seen and heard, where are you at with both Lance and Darnold on this 49ers roster?
Well, that's a pretty good question. I think, you've got to look at the whole body of work and understand why Sam Darnold's in the position he's in. He's been given several chances over the last 5 years to prove he's a quality NFL starter. And obviously he's proven to this point, at least, that he's not the franchise quarterback that a lot of people thought he was going to be coming out of USC. I wasn't in that camp. I do like Trey Lance and his potential. You're talking about a guy that has had very limited experience, even at the collegiate levels, and you can't keep using that as an excuse, obviously. But I think it's a situation where, you've got such a big question mark around that whole position this year because of the status of your starting quarterback. And by the way, Brock Purdy, the surgery that he had, I've had that same surgery twice. And one of my big concerns is in trying to get him back for that week one, that he might have a setback. My second surgery was a result of trying to rehab too hard to get back ready for the next season. With my after having the same exact surgery, and I pushed a little bit too hard going into training camp, tore it again, and ended up missing the whole season. So, my opinion on the whole matter is that the 49ers need to be really patient with Brock Purdy, even if it means giving him, maybe even a couple of weeks into the season to make sure that thing is 100%. Make sure he works up to that level where he's not going to have a risk of a setback. I wouldn't be upset if that were to happen. And when you consider all those factors, I think Trey Lance is the guy that should be that number 2 quarterback. And because of the uncertainty around Purdy, I wouldn't be interested in trading away Trey Lance unless there was someone who was willing to give up an awful lot for him. And then you would rely on Sam Darnold to be your hopefully solid number 2 guy.
Steve, we see a lot of Super Bowl ready roster teams have that experienced backup quarterback in a Sam Darnold. Do you think Trey Lance's lack of experience is just a huge concern when you have a Super Bowl ready roster that's ready to compete and has this small window right now?
Well, what have you seen from Sam Darnold that would make you think that he could step up and get it done? I mean, you say he's a veteran quarterback. Yes, he started, probably around 30 to 40 games in his NFL career, maybe. And he's proven that he's not overly reliable. So I would be really hesitant to say that he'd be a safer bet than Trey Lance at this point. Trey Lance, obviously there's a lot of question marks about him and whether he's going to ever materialize into what they had hoped for last year. But, I don't buy the fact that Sam Darnold is an upgrade over Trey Lance at this point, because Sam Darnold hasn't shown me anything that got me too excited at this point. So, again, if there's a really good offer and someone's willing to step up and give you something of significant value or something that you really need for Trey Lance, then I think you can justify letting him go. But it has to be something of significant value before I would make that decision.
CBS Sports' Steve Beuerlein joining us on the Folsom Lake Honda Hotline. Folsom Lake Honda, your one-stop Honda shop. The former 49er quarterback, Jimmy Garoppolo, now under center in Las Vegas. Steve, how do you see him performing this year, reunited with Josh McDaniels in an offense that he is very familiar with? Do you think we'll see a nice year from Jimmy Garoppolo?
Well, one thing Jimmy has shown is that he can win. And so the question is whether he can stay on the field. And also whether he can win at the highest level and, win the games that you need to win to make that championship run. But I think everybody believes that Jimmy Garoppolo has shown enough over the years to warrant him being a starting quarterback for the Raiders and getting this opportunity. He's got to be really comfortable with Josh McDaniel. They've had success in the past. They know each other well. They're going to have a very easy, ability to get on the same page and understand what each other is looking for, what the coach and the quarterback are comfortable with, what the expectations are. That's a huge part of it. And I think that should show itself. The Raiders' big questions have got to be, about Devontae Adams, how significant is his injury? And then also about whether that defense can make the step up. And then, of course, Josh Jacobs, too, what's going to be the status of him coming back. But I think Jimmy G is going to be solid this year. And I believe it was right time for the Raiders to make the decision to move on from Derek Carr. And Jimmy G should be a nice addition for him.
So Brock Purdy's about to head into his sophomore season. Was there any big adjustments for you as a quarterback when you're with the Raiders that you had to adjust to in your sophomore year? Was there a big jump? Was the league adjusting to you? All these different factors.
Well, there's a lot of different things that go on, and you combine that with the fact that he's coming off of a major injury to his throwing elbow. That's got to be on the back of his mind. It's hard to just forget about what you've been through when you've been through a full off season of rehabilitation on your most valuable commodity, your arm. So, that's going to be a challenge for him. But also I think one of the things that is always interesting to see how a young quarterback reacts is when there is game tape on you, and there's significant tape on Brock Purdy coming into this year now based on the experience he got last year. How is he going to handle the adjustments that the rest of the schedule is going to surely make based on what they've seen and experienced so far? Those coaches on those other teams are going to try and find any opportunity or any situation that presented problems for Brock Purdy or areas where he might have looked uncomfortable or maybe had a little bit of indecision, and they're going to try to magnify those situations and try to put him in those positions as much as they possibly can. And that's where you see whether Brock Purdy can take it to the next level. And I'm excited. He made it look so easy last year before the injury, has everybody very, very excited. And I think it's going to take a lot to get this guy rattled. He seems to have all the qualities you're looking for in a franchise quarterback, and the ability to handle all of the chaos and all the stress that goes along with playing the position at that level. So for me, it's just really a matter of making sure that he gets through this transition process to where his elbow can get back to 100%.
He's won a Super Bowl. He's been a Pro Bowler. You can find him on CBS. Steve Beuerlein joining us today. Steve, thank you so much for taking the time, man. Great stuff. Hope to talk to you again throughout the season.
Happy to do it, guys. Anytime. Take care.
All right. That was Steve Beuerlein again from CBS Sports. A lot of years played in the NFL. Again, has a Pro Bowl. So love having a quarterback on that not just has the experience, but he's done it at a very high level. A lot of good stuff he said, especially when it pertained to the 49ers quarterbacks. What we're going to do is take a quick break. On the other side, we'll break down what were his thoughts on Lance and Darnold. Again, I thought he gave a lot of great insight on Brock Purdy, especially having come off the same injury. We'll do that next, coming up on Sactown Sports and SactownSports.com.